Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, thank you very much, dear devotees, for joining today. Wanted to seek the blessings of Radha Madhav, Radha Shyamsundar, Krishna Balaram, Bal Gopal, the Singh Gaunitai Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees. I wanted to talk about chapter 10 today. So very quick overview of half of the Gita already completed. So the first 9 chapters constitute half of the Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters in total. So first chapter was where Krishna's main man, Arjun, decided he didn't want to fight due to weakness of heart. Second chapter, Arjun realizes that the problem is much bigger than he was thinking. And he asks Krishna for help, who reveals his identity, Arjun's identity, as spirit soul. He also reveals his duties and also the nature of the person who does his duty. And then the third chapter, Krishna talks more about the duties and how one can do our duties without attachment to the fruits of labor, and also to set an example to the world and avoid sinful activities. Fourth chapter talks about transcendental knowledge, Gyan Yoga, and Krishna also describes his own mission when he comes to our world. And he describes different types of actions and the importance of acquiring knowledge. Fifth chapter is Karma Yoga in practice. And Krishna describes how to engage in Karma Yoga in such a way that it becomes a dedication of activities to the Supreme Lord. And we also see the effect that will have on the practitioner who begins to have equal vision towards everybody. Doesn't have any enemies or friends, even if you like. So Krishna also explains about the mind in chapter 6, the challenges of Ashtanga Yoga and how to control the mind and what happens to the unsuccessful yogi. Chapter 7, Krishna describes where he can be perceived in this world, who approaches him, who doesn't approach him, and the results of worshipping devatas, which is, in essence, it's very temporary. You get very temporary fruits from the devatas, and we end up in their planet. We don't want to go to their planet because their planet is still in this world. Chapter 8, Arjun asks 8 questions, and Krishna describes in detail the answer to his last question, which is what happens at the time of death. And yesterday we looked at chapter 9, where Krishna explains his inconceivable nature. He's in the universe, but he's also not within the universe. He creates the universe, but also, as I said, he's not within that creation. And the value of serving him compared to other beings. Krishna also describes a little bit about where he can be found in this world and also his forgiving nature. Chapter 10, he describes a lot of where he can be found in this world. So this chapter is called The Opulence of the Absolute. And a brief summary. People complain that they cannot see God at work. So often they complain that God isn't there because he's not doing anything for me. We like to make God work hard for us, our selfish reasons. So some people complain, they can't see God at work because their desires are not fulfilled. That he is not manifest in person before our eyes, and that they have no direct experience of his existence. Show me God, the skeptics demand, and then I will believe in him. So Krishna explains how the spiritualist can simultaneously perceive God as the source of creation, also see God within the creation. However, this requires more than an intellectual understanding. it actually calls for transformation of one's consciousness and revelation from within. The themes of this chapter are as follows. Because Arjun is a friend of the Lord, Krishna explains his nature further. Texts 8 to 10 describes the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. These 4 verses are like a summary of the whole Gita. They're very powerful. And explains that the Lord is the source of everything, how his devotees interact with him. He also reveals himself to his devotees, destroying their ignorance. These 4 verses are very good, very nice verses. Then another theme of this chapter is Arjuna accepts Krishna as the supreme, as do many other great sages, etc., and wanted to know more about the Lord's opulences. And then Krishna explains some of his opulences, vibhuti, found in this world, our world. So let's make a start. Priyanjali, would you like to read? She may be struggling. Yeah, you can unmute, Priyanjali. Okay, not to worry. Devina.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjun. Because you are my dear friend, for your benefit I shall speak to you." Personality of
Oh, no, sorry, Priyanjali, we can't hear you. We can't hear you, Priyanjali. So if you can mute. Sorry, Priyanjali, we can't hear you. How do you mute her? I've tried to mute her, but okay, I think so. Okay, carry on, Devina.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjun. Because you are my dear friend, for your benefit I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. Neither the hosts or demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme Lord of all the worlds, he only, undeluded among men, is free from all sins. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom of doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy, all these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. The 7 great sages, and before them the 4 other great sages, and the Manus, progenitors of mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mine engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt.
Very good reading. Thank you. So, summary of these 7 verses. Krishna reveals to Arjuna further how no one knows him, right? No one knows him. So the Lord is very hard to understand. How he is unborn and beginningless, how he is the source of all qualities in us, how the sages came from his mind. He is revealing this to Arjuna because of his personal relationship with his dear friend. Right? So, lesson to learn. although we cannot know the Lord in full, we can still have an intimate relationship with him. And this is very important to understand, that God is not something which is just some light, which has no interaction with others. He has interaction with us, and we can have interaction with him. So there are 5 principal relationships one can have with the Lord. There are, of course, many more. These are the 5 principal relationships. First one is Santaras. Ras means relationship. Shantarash is a neutral relationship. So, for example, you can be a tree in the spiritual world, observing everything that's going on, but you're neutral. Or maybe some grass, which is neutral. It doesn't have a interactive connection with God. And this is all in the spiritual world. Okay? The second type of relationship can be dasyaras, as servant to the Lord. Das means servant. Dasyaras, the relationship of servant. And the greatest servant of the Lord Ram is Hanuman. So that's an example of somebody who is in Dasyaras. Another is Sakyaras. Sakyaras is friendship with the Lord. One can actually have a relationship of being a friend to the Lord. Arjun was a friend to the Lord. He perfected his life by being a friend to the Lord. So now there are different grades of friendship as well. Within this category of friendship, there are some amazing categories, actually, amazing intimate relationships that one can have with the Supreme Lord. I'll give you an example. Arjun's relationship with the Lord was in friendship, but it was a little bit of a formal friendship. When I say formal friendship, it wasn't very intimate. We'll see later on in chapter 11 how Arjun asks Krishna for forgiveness because he realizes Krishna's amazing position. And he says, sometimes we would joke, sometimes we would, eat from the same plate or something like that. And he asks for forgiveness. But actually, there are certain friendships the Lord has with his devotees, which are very close, intimate friendships. For example, with the Gopas, we talked about Madhumangal yesterday, sorry. He has others like Sridhar or Shubhal. And with them, they would climb on his back and they would, especially when he was in Vrindavan, when he was younger, and they would whip him with a stick sometimes, and he would do the same to them. They would play ball and they would really tease each other. That friendship was so intimate and so close. So there's different grades of friendships, even within this category. But one can become a very good friend of the Lord. One can become a parent to the Lord, like Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba, or Vasudev and Devaki. Again, there are different categories as well of parents. Can be a nurse or grandmother to Krishna in this parental mood. It's called Vatsalya Ras. And each one is better than the other in terms of the spiritual connection with Krishna. So Dasyaras is better than Santaras. Sakyaras is better than Dasyaras. But Salyaras is better than Sakyaras. And the best of them all, the highest category of relationship one can have with the Lord is Madhurya Ras, a loving relationship where there can be great intimacy with the Lord. And again, within this Madhurya Ras, there are many, many, many categories. For example, the queens of Dwarka had this loving relationship with Krishna. But it was a little bit formal, It wasn't as close as his relationships with the gopis in Vrindavan. Theirs is considered to be the highest. And of them, there is one particular gopi who is regarded as the topmost gopi. Her name is Radha. So these are the different relationships. There's the passive state, Shantaras, then there's the Dasyaras, Sakyaras, friendship, Vatsalyaras, parental, and conjugal lover, Madhuryaras. Everyone has one particular relationship with Krishna called Swarup. At the present state, we have forgotten the Lord, and we have also forgotten our relationship with him. What is that relationship? We have to find it through the process of devotional service, by being engaged in serving the Lord in a loving manner. Takes time. But once we become closer and closer and closer to the Lord and become purer and purer, and our consciousness of God increases, then slowly that relationship that we had with him is also revealed automatically in time. But it'll take time. All right. Let's go to these four.
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
sorry, Prabhuji. In a second one was they say I can't explain English. I just say in Gujarati. Yeah. Second ma demigod કે સંત કોઈ કૃષ્ણના પર્સનાલિટી ને સમજી નથી શકતા એવું કહેવા માંગે છે.
Yeah.
So how I can't
Let's take the
dissect.
questions at the end, Badhuben.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah? Be
And
easy.
if today if I'm not here at the end, we discuss tomorrow anyway. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So, okay. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Okay. Sanchi, and Sanvi. Would you like to read? There's only 4 verses, unfortunately.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. I'm the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance.
Wonderful. Thank you for reading that so sweetly. Now, these are absolutely key verses. These 4 verses are the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. So chapter 10, verses 8, 9, 10, 11. So try to remember. These are very, very important verses. And why? Because Krishna reveals some amazing things, that he is the source of all the creation, both material and spiritual. Everything comes from him. Those who engage in his bhakti, who know this, they engage in his bhakti and they love him with their hearts. And the thoughts of his pure devotees, they're always with Krishna. Their lives are fully devoted to Krishna. They get great satisfaction from it, and they enlighten each other and talk about Krishna. And this is my personal favorite. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give them the understanding by which they come to me. So yes, Madhuben, we can't understand Krishna unless he allows us to. This is the point. Unless he allows us to. And why would he allow us to? If we engage in bhakti to him, he will from within give us the understanding by which we go to him. Or he may give the understanding from without, by the guru, by the mercy of the devotees, the understanding by which we go to him. So this is the point, that he is not possible to understand, and nobody can fully understand him. And I tell you what, even Krishna cannot fully understand himself, because his qualities are always expanding. He's dynamic. He's not a constant, he's not just, like he is always evolving himself. He's better, he's great, but he gets greater and greater and greater. His perfection knows no limits. And I'll give you an example. Whenever he was in Dwarka, there were mirrors everywhere, even on the floor. One time, he dropped something on the floor, and he went to pick it up. And when he picked it, he looked at the floor, and he saw his reflection. And he said to himself, who is this beautiful person? He didn't recognize himself, because his qualities, his beauty, his fame, his knowledge, and everything is constantly increasing. How is this possible? Well, this is God. This is God. He's not a constant. He's evolving all the time, evolving to a greater level, a better level. Of course, there's no such thing as a better level for God. He's already perfect, but he gets even more perfect. This is a little hard to comprehend, but that's why no one can understand him. Even he doesn't understand himself. So to those, to show, and then the last verse, he destroys the darkness in our heart with knowledge. This is very powerful. So these 4 verses are fantastic. These 4 verses contain the essence of Bhagavad Gita and describe spirituality in its 3 essential stages. The first stage is sambandha, knowledge of one's relationship with God and the universe. The second stage is the practice and application of such knowledge in one's daily life, technically known as abhidheya. And the third stage is the mature fruit of such practice, which is pure spiritual consciousness, unbounded love of God. This is known as prayojana. So these 3 things are very important: getting a relationship with God, and then putting into practice daily life, and then achieving the spiritual goal. So these 3 things are important. And these 4 verses give us these 3 things. Thus, the Bhagavad Gita is actually a spiritual science, since there is hypothesis, sambandha, experiment, abhidheya. So first is the theory, then the practice, and then the observation or the conclusion, prayojana. These 4 verses, 8 to 11, give a roadmap of spirituality from beginning to end. And the lesson to learn is, this is one of my favorite verses. And I just copied it here. To those who are constantly devoted to serving Krishna with love, he gives the understanding by which we can go to him. Very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. All right, let's go to the next series of verses. And Rohan, could you read these verses?
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe. Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you, and how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? O Janardana, again, please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So, Arjun accepts Krishna as a supreme, the purest, the oldest, the original. And then he also says, look, it's not just me who do this. The sages accept you. Narada, Shita, Devala, Vyas, they confirm all of this. It's not just me. And this is important. We got to back our conviction with substance. And this is the substance. His conviction is, you're God. Substance, because so many sages also accept it. Arjun accepts Krishna as Supreme Lord, and he's stating that all the great sages also accept this. And he wants to know more about God. This is very important. We can also, the lesson to learn is develop a desire to know more about the Lord. And this is why you're here. And I'm very thankful to you for being present. Because of you, I am also sitting here and have the opportunity to describe the Lord. This is such an incredible pleasure. And he will fulfill our desire. The more we want, the more he'll give. Knowing more about his opulence will convince us that he is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. But knowing and appreciating his sweet pastimes of exchange with his devotees will also make us fall in love with him. Just because you know somebody is great, we know Bill Gates, for example, one of the richest men in the world, right? We know he's very opulent, he's rich, he's famous. But is that enough to love him? No, not at all. But if you know somebody is sweet and their exchange with others and with us is also sweet, then you can fall in love with that person. And this is the situation of Krishna. He's not just opulent, he's not just famous, but he's also very, very sweet. His sweetness is what will capture our hearts. And this is what Krishna, when he comes to this world, he shows his sweetness. And this is how we can fall in love with him. So now I wanted to ask Ishwari and Kishori, there's lots of verses now where Krishna very kindly, he shows us where he is in this world. So Ishwari, Kishori, you with us? Yeah. Great.
Text 20. I am the Supersoul, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of the lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi, controlling deity of the wind. Among the stars, I am the moon. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. In the living beings, I am the living force, consciousness. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and the Rakshasas, I am the Lord of Wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am fire, Agni. Of mountains, I am Meru. Of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief, Brahaspati. Of generals, I am Kartikeya. Of bodies of water, I am the ocean. Of the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa. Of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Among perfected beings, I am the sage Kapila. Of the Gandhas, I am Siddhartha. Of the sage among the demigods, I am Narada. Of all trees, I am the banyan tree. Of horses, know me to be Ujjayi Hasrava,
Yeah.
used doing the churning of the ocean for nectar. Of lordly elephants, I am Airavat. Among men, I am the monarch. Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Among cows, I am the Suravi. Of causes for procreation, I am Gandharva, the god of love. Of serpents, I am Vasuki. Among the dispensers of law, I am Yama, the lord of death. Of departed ancestors, I am Ariyama. Among the aquatics, I am the demigod Varuna. Of the many-hooded Nagas, I am Ananta. Among the subduers, I am time. Among beasts, I am the lion. Among the Daitya demons, I am the devoted Prahlad. Among birds, I am Garuda. Of fishes, I am the shark. Of flowing rivers, I am the Ganges. Of the wielders of weapons, I am Rama. Of purifiers, I am the wind. Among the logicians, I am the conclusive truth. Of all sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self. Of all creation, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle, O Arjuna. I am also inexhaustible time. Of creators, I am Brahma. Among compound words, I am the dual compound, Rama Krishna. Of letters, I am the letter A. I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech.
It says, let me just see, actually, I can't see myself. Memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience.
Thank you. I am all devouring death. Of the hymns in the Samaveda, I am the Brat Sama. Of poetry, I am the Gayatri. Of months, I am Marga Sirsa, November, December. Of seasons, I am flower-bearing spring. I am also the gambling of cheats. Of the splendid, I am the splendor. I am victory. I am the strength of the strong. I am adventure. Of the Pandavas, I am Arjun. Of the sages, I am Vyasa. Among great thinkers, I am Usana. Of the descendants, I am Vrishni. I am Vasudeva. Of secret things, I am science. Of the wise, I am the wisdom. Of those who seek victory, I am morality. Among all means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment. There is no being moving or non-moving that can exist without me. I am the generating seed of all existences. O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you, is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. Know that all my opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring but from a spark of my splendor.
Mhm.
But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Thank you,
Wow.
Prabhuji.
Thank you. Beautifully read. Thank you so much. So, end of chapter 10, Vibhuti Vistara Yoga. Vibhuti is opulence, and he's showing his, or he's expressing his opulence by saying where he can be found in this world. And then I love it at the end. He says, well, Arjun, yes, you want to know all of this, where I am to be found, my opulences in this world. But what is the use of all of this detailed knowledge with just a single fragment of myself? I pervade and support this entire universe. Amazing. Krishna's, these verses are so incredible. Okay, Krishna describes the most prominent amongst his limitless, all-pervading opulence. By doing this, he explains how one can actually think about him, meditate on him, and see him everywhere. So this is a solution to those who want to say, ask, where is God, right? This is where he can be seen. It is not that Krishna is physically all the things he mentions, but rather he is the source of the opulence of these things, their strength, fame, wealth, and so on. After naming 82 opulences, Krishna concludes by stating that these simply hint at his glory, since he pervades and supports the entire universe with a single fragment of his energy. So this is wonderful. It is so wonderful to read and try to understand. So we know, lesson 43, Krishna is unlimited. He gives a small hint of his opulences in these verses that we read. One of the opulences he mentions of cows, I am the Surupi. So Gomata is very special, very dear to Krishna. And it's very important to have a connection with something that is close to Krishna, dear to Krishna. Now, how do we know Gomata is dear to Krishna? He says it in the Bhagavad Gita. He says it in this chapter. But he doesn't just say it. He puts it into practice. When he came to this world, he came as the son of Nand and Yashoda. Nanda Baba, Nanda Maharaj, he had 9 lakh cows, 900,000 cows. And Krishna, in time, he would graze, he would take these Gomatas into the field, into the forest to graze. He knew every single Gomata by name. He would count on beads. We have beads, so we're chanting Krishna's names. Krishna has beads where he's chanting the names of the Gomatas. This is how important Gomata is to him. And he counts making sure that no Gomata is left behind. He has so many different categories of Gomata. Some are black, some are white, some are golden. Some have a face of a madanga. And it's just such a huge variety of Gomatas. But he calls them. He calls them by category. Sometimes the Gomata, they become a little bit naughty. They run away because they want to hear not just the name of the category that they're in, they want to hear their name spoken by Krishna. So when they run away, Krishna would call out their name. And they would love to hear Krishna calling their name out. Can you imagine if Krishna called our name out? How ecstatic we would become. We are always calling out Krishna's name, but can you imagine if Krishna called our name? My goodness, well, that would be the perfection of life. So the Gomatas were like that. They would be hearing out for their name to be called. They would run towards Krishna. So Krishna can't live without cows. And we don't even remember Gomata at all in the whole day. So at least once a day, we should remember Gomata. Now, Ishwari and Kishori, who read these verses, they have very close, affectionate relationship with Gomata. And it's so nice that youngsters like them, they're only 13, 14, I think, maybe even a little older, maybe, but they're young, but they've got this connection. And it's very important to have this connection with what is most dear to Krishna. That's Gomata. So if, say, we can't have access to real Gomata, let's have a little deity of Gomata and you know, worship that Gomata. Krishna will love it. You can be on the altar. When you do Aarti to Krishna, you can also do Aarti to Gomata. So I just wanted to share that. We should connect with something that's very dear to Krishna. And that will bring us closer to Krishna. So let's stop there. Now, I know I did read a couple of questions. Now, I know Madhuban is gone. I hope we answered her question. Okay. So Priyanjali, does Arjun know Krishna? Did he understand him? No. Even you will see in the next chapter, chapter 11, Krishna shows Arjun the universal form. And Arjun, he is so beautiful. He's wondering, what is going on here? Who are you? What is this? He's shocked. He's never come across this universal form of Krishna. Nobody understands Krishna. Yeah, so nobody can understand Krishna. And as I explained earlier, even he himself doesn't fully capture his greatness because his greatness is always evolving. So, okay. Any question? Any other questions? I think I've gone through the chat. Okay, Sanchi and Sanvi. Can someone not be ready to read the Bhagavad Gita? Yeah, you know, those who really are determined not to believe in God, or determined to perhaps blaspheme God, that God is useless, God is this and that and the other, you know. They're not quite in this right place to read the Bhagavad Gita. So yes, there will be people who are not really qualified to read the Bhagavad Gita. You do have to read the Gita. You do need an open mind. You do need some level of faith. Some level of faith is required. Otherwise, it'll be like a storybook, or you know, like a novel or something like that. Just a little bit of information. You won't get into the nectar of the Gita, the instructions of the Gita. So I hope that answers your question. Anybody else? From the youngsters first. Ishwari and Kishori, do you have?
We don't have our usual long list of questions.
Okay. That's good. That's okay. So yes, the correct mental state is the only requirement to read the Gita. Yeah. If one has the correct mood. Okay, I'll give you an example. In the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there was a Brahmin who couldn't read. So this Brahmin would sit in the temple with the other Brahmins. All the other Brahmins were well educated. They could read Sanskrit. They were reciting the Bhagavad Gita. But this one, and they were proudly reciting the Bhagavad Gita. This one Brahmin who couldn't read, he had lots of tears in his eyes. And everybody would be laughing at him, you know. What's he crying about? He doesn't understand the Gita. Can't even read. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one time met with this Brahmin and he asked him, why are you crying? And the Brahmin said, I'm crying because I can see on the cover of the Bhagavad Gita, my dear Krishna has become a servant of his devotee Arjun. And I am so incredibly amazed that the Lord, the kind supreme personality of Godhead, has such humility that he has become the servant of his disciple. And that is why I'm just crying. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu turned to him and said, actually, you have understood the Bhagavad Gita, whereas all of these others who are reading the Bhagavad haven't really understood the Bhagavad Gita. They haven't got into the mood of the Bhagavad Gita. So mental state is important, but so perhaps a better way. Yes, having a mental state is correct, but having a devotional mood is fundamental to really get into the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. What does that mean? Devotional mood it means that we trust Krishna, we believe him, whatever he's saying, we will try to understand and put it into practice in our life. If we have that mood, then Bhagavad Gita opens itself up. Many people say, oh, I don't understand the Gita. I read it and it doesn't make any sense. Well, we're reading the Bhagavad Gita and it makes sense to me. I don't know how you guys feel, but it makes sense to me. It's not that difficult. And of course, you can make anything difficult in life. You can complicate anything if you really want to. But Bhagavad Gita is actually very simple. It's simple for the simple and it's complicated for those who want to make it complicated. Hope that answers your question. Yes, Praveen.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It's the same question I did ask you earlier in the beginning. Like if someone has given that, like if I say in the Gujarati, like the Viswas in the Bhagavad Gita, how can you make that person trust back in the Gita again?
Oh, if they've lost the trust and the faith in
the faith, yeah.
It takes time. It takes time. It takes a lot of love. It takes a lot of understanding. Somebody had faith. They've lost faith because of a situation that has taken place and they've been hurt. They didn't get any relief from that hurt. That hurt can be deep. And, you know, they need spiritual counseling. They need a lot of guidance, a lot of care in order to bring that faith back again to the Lord. If they lose the faith,
loss of faith in the Krishna.
yeah,
that's all to say.
It can take time.
It will take time.
Regain that faith, yeah. It can take time. Something else may happen in their life. You can pray for them. That's one thing you can definitely do. You can pray to the Lord, my dear Lord. This person is dear to me, but they have lost their faith in you. Please, my dear Lord, help them regain that faith in you. I have total faith in you. Come 100% faith in you. And I know you can do anything you like. So please help these people to regain their faith in you. That prayer is very powerful. When you pray for others, the Lord listens. When you pray for yourself, he may listen, may not listen.
Thank
Prabhu,
you.
Thank
You.
Thank you.
how can one get spiritual counseling? From where?
Satsang, like we're doing.
Okay.
Satsang, asking questions. If you have a mentor, or spiritual guide, a guru, senior devotees, these are all sources of further guidance. A mentor basically means further guidance.
Yeah.
So all of the, and there, there can be one guru, but there can be lots of one Diksha guru, but many Shiksha gurus.
Fiction. Yes.
From the scriptures. Scriptures are also a very good source. Bhagavad Gita is a very good source of counseling, because, we feel depressed. We can just read that one verse where Krishna says, I will make that devotee righteous. I will protect what he has, and I will give him what he doesn't have. That is spiritual counseling. That's God saying, don't worry, I'm with you.
Yes, that's true. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Rohan?
Hare Krishna. So does that mean we should pray on behalf of those who can't really or aren't in the right mental state to do so?
Yeah.
Or perform seva? Will they still get the full benefits of it if you do seva on their behalf?
Oh, if you do seva on their behalf, not necessarily, but what you can do, for example, when you do Ekadashi, right? You fast on Ekadashi?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. In time, that's a really good fast, right? And there are many grades of fasting. You can eat nothing, you can drink, you can have fruits, you can have, like Ferrari sabji, so many things. So at some point in your spiritual life, you can begin this austerity of fasting. It's a very simple austerity, no difficult. But when you've done the fast, you have accumulated some spiritual benefit. Now, that spiritual benefit, you can actually pray to the Lord, please, whatever spiritual benefit I've got, you can please give a portion of it to this person or that person and help them in their spiritual development. So that works. But if you're doing something like an arti, or you're doing bhajan kirtan, you're doing it for yourself. You can't really transfer the benefit of that to another person. But when you're doing fasting, that you can transfer to somebody else. And prayer, you can pray on behalf of somebody. This person needs help, please help them. That's very powerful. That's very effective. The Lord will listen to that prayer. He won't give away your benefit, what you've accumulated by your bhakti. That doesn't get transferred, but your prayer gets heard.
So if you're fasting, so that's a type of sacrifice that you can sort of, all the benefits for it, you can transfer some of the benefits to someone else. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. So if I've done like I don't know, Janmashtami, Navratri, any fasts like that.
Yeah. Correct. And you can go to the Lord, stand before him, before you finish your fast by drinking or whatever it is, eating, you pray to the Lord, my dear Lord, thank you for allowing me to fast. Please let me make me closer to you. But also, you can please give 50% or 25% to this person who needs help from you. Please transfer my, and when, like if you, say you have a younger brother, and the younger brother, he needs a little bit of help, in his studies. You go to him, you help him in his studies. How good would your parents feel, right, on you? What sort of affection would that give them or for you? Wow, look at this. Rowan's helping his younger brother, younger sister with his work. They would feel so much affection for you. They'd already love your younger brother, sister, but the love for you would multiply because you're helping their loved one, you know? Same with Krishna. Krishna loves us all, right? And he does not discriminate. He's not partial. He loves us equally, every one of us. But if somebody is a little away from him and you make an effort to bring him closer to Krishna, how much the Lord will have affection for you. He loves that person already, but that person's away from him, but you're trying to bring him closer. That person, that Krishna would really have so much love and affection for that person. So it's the same way. Do you see what I'm saying, Rohan?
Yes, thank you. It's just it for at least my brother, he finds it very hard to do seva because of experiences and stuff he's gone through.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if anything I do for his benefit, does it actually go to him and mum as well?
Yeah, it will. It will. Your prayers will have an impact, most definitely.
Okay. Thank you. Hare
Very
Krishna.
cute. Thank you so much. Okay, so if there's nothing else, Praveen, yeah, you're muted, huh? Okay.
Yeah, it's a similar question. I mean, this is the first time I heard from you what Rohan asked you, Rohan Prabhu. Like when you said when you're doing any fast, or like tomorrow is Ekadasi, we fast.
Oh, tomorrow is Ekadasi. Good, yes.
So you saying we can give that fast in our family, like come to my children and this is first time I hear.
Oh, we say it quite often. Well, I suppose we say it during Ekadashi Katha, isn't it? Yeah, that's correct. That is correct.
You just pray that
you can give a percentage
some of the person goes to my family.
Yeah, your son, your husband. Correct.
Anybody.
Yeah.
That's good. First time I hear.
And you do that.
I know I do. When I do mala, I do say some of this goes to the family.
Right. But fasting is more potent. Yeah. And you do it just before you finish your fast the next morning on Thursday morning. Before you finish, you go to the Lord and you say, please do this for us.
Oh, right.
And this is a good point. Tomorrow is Ekadasi. And if possible, try the fast. If your parents allow you, if your parents are doing it, you do it. It's very easy. It's actually very tasty as well, the food. Sometimes I used to eat more Ekadashi food than normal food. And then I decided, oh no, this is not a good idea. So do Ekadashi, you can eat, there's so many different varieties of foods. But just don't eat grains, don't eat beans, no rice, no chapati. But you can have fruits, you can have potato, you can have jacket potato, you can have potato sabji, you can have so many things. You can have chips, you can have juices, it's unlimited. But what you're doing is you're avoiding grains and beans. And there's a reason for that. We haven't got time to explain that reason now, but it's a very good fast to do.
Lots of Ferrari recipes now on YouTube.
Yeah, there's lots of Ferrari recipes. So let's make a stop there. Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Yes.
So we're going to chant